Hola, and welcome to a new month. We're all making our way cautiously through 2021, ¿verdad? Anyway, I'm so excited for today's episode. We've all heard beauty is pain and many other cliche phrases that have us diminish our own beauty. We've had to navigate from a young age such a narrow focus of what beauty is. In this episode, I chat with Veronica, a boudoir photographer. And not only is she an amazing photographer, but she has cultivated an empowering community that goes beyond her business, Golden Mean Boudoir. During our chat, you might hear her daughter playing in the background or even my kids playing video games. Hashtag mom life. I mean, we're all doing the best that we can to juggle all the things, especially on top of COVID life. Am I right? Anyway, please enjoy my chat with Veronica. Hi, I am so excited to introduce my friend Veronica. We have known each other for a long time, and we met in the wedding industry. I feel like most of the people that I've talked to this season I've met through the wedding industry. Um, but we have stayed connected and have hung out, and I am excited that she gets to share her story with all of you. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Veronica. I'm the owner and photographer at Golden Mean Boudoir. Um, and yeah, so I'm so excited to be here. I have been in this industry for a little over 6 years now. And I've actually known you for most of that, right? um, yeah, I started in boudoir photography back in 2015 is when I really decided to get into it and just go for it. Um, and it just came about after my own session because it was so much fun and empowering and really eye-opening. So that's why I wanted to get into it. What I do is I take intimate portraits of women. A lot of the times it's super empowering, really a powerful session where we just kind of strip away insecurities, strip away body image issues, and what I really like to get into is just really seeing the person that you are versus what you see yourself as, because we have a different version of what we see ourselves as versus what everybody else sees. So yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do.
Like you said, we have known each other for a long time, and I have always been inspired by your passion and like your vision for boudoir photography. Um, and we connected because we are both photographers and we have stayed friends because we can like swap stories and share um, tips on how to like grow in our businesses. But I have just been so inspired by your desire. I feel like this conversation is so needed because there's, as a woman, it's so hard to see ourselves as beautiful in those formative years when you're in your preteens and teens is when you are forming like those images of yourself and of other people. And I feel like, as especially we're both moms, and especially as moms we can kind of forget that or lose that as we age and get older. And so I love the conversation that you are bringing to the table. I love the fact that your vision is to empower women. And I love that you're doing it through photography, a craft that, like, I've only used it for like weddings and engagement sessions, but you take it to the next. And I'll go back. So like when I photograph engagement sessions, weddings, and I still feel that insecurity of women, Like it's always like, oh, well, I don't photograph well, or make sure to get my good side. And it's those little comments that I'm just like, I wish I could show you what I'm seeing through the lens, because I feel like I see you as beautiful. Like it doesn't matter like who I'm photographing. Um, so I love that you are doing this work and helping empower women. I want to go back and I want you to talk through your own boudoir session, like that mindset shift that got you to where you are now.
Yeah, so I actually was in a boudoir conference like maybe 2-ish weeks ago, and it's something that one of the speakers said, like pinned it in for me. Like what I'm doing is because it's something that I needed, right? And so we get into this industry, specifically boudoir, as photographers, because we're looking to heal something or help others heal something within ourselves. So it's not that I had huge body image issues. I didn't really ever think about it. And I think that's the issue. So when I did my own session, I did it solely for my husband. Like it wasn't something that I was like, oh, I'm gonna go empower myself. Like that's not the thought that immediately goes into somebody's mind. I did it for him, and luckily it was with one of my really good friends, and she's my mentor now. And seeing those images was just eye opening. Like, wow, I've never seen myself that way. Like you never see yourself intimately because the other person obviously is seeing you, right? Like how many of us just sit in front of the mirror, either in lingerie or naked or whatever, and just like fully see ourselves? No, like almost nobody. And so I'm Mexican, and obviously you're too, and I think a lot of the issue is that we don't necessarily, I wasn't shamed for anything, but we never talked about it. We never talked about nudity. We never talked about intimacy. We never talked about anything really. So with me going into it, that was like such a new realm that I went into, that I took away something like, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be intimate. It's okay to see yourself really beautiful, even if it is in lingerie. Like you're gorgeous, and like that's something to celebrate. So yeah, so my first session was all about my husband, didn't even think about it. And then after the fact, it was like, holy crap, that like really did something for myself and for my self-esteem and for my confidence. Like, I know I can rock this. So, yeah, so shortly after that, I just went for it. I had another friend who did another model call for, I think she was testing some new gear out or something. I was like, I'll model for it. I'll do it. And I just really fell in love with the whole process and with having photo shoots done. And I wanted to continue that on and like give that power back to other women. So like me behind the camera, just showing women that they're beautiful. I'm gonna get a little cheesy here, but there's a quote that I like thought of while you were speaking that I really love. It's like, if I were to ask you to name all of the things that you love, how long would it take you to name yourself? And like that's what I want to do. It's like you should be priority, right? You should be number one. Like love yourself, and then everything else just comes naturally after, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was my experience. It was so empowering. It was really fun. Like it was just, I don't know. I've always thought of photography as something uh, that helps us capture beauty, regardless of what it is. So I've always been into photography and like just capturing like landscapes and the beauty in the mundane, and now I just get to do it with gorgeous women. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Everything that you just said, my mind is like blown. Going back to what you said about like as Mexican women, as Latinas, like we don't talk about our bodies at all. Like I don't remember ever just like saying like I don't ever remember talking about my body, whether it was like it was mostly just cover it up. Like don't show that stuff. Um and I feel like that shift is happening now. That shift where it's like you as women we're made to feel bad. Like if we are wearing something that we feel good in, that makes us feel, sexy, beautiful, it's our fault if someone else perceives us as negative because of what we're wearing, whether it's a man, or another female. Um, and I feel like that mindset is shifting because of the work that people like you are doing. Um, but it was always like I always felt like so much shame if I was wearing um, something that was low cut, or if it was a shirt that like shifted, my mom would be like, "Oh, pull it up," or "You can't wear your skirt too short," or "those tacones are too high." Um, and yes, whenever we talked about our body or my body as a female, it was always thought in a negative way, or it was very private. Like whatever we did, like intimately, like you cannot talk about that. You can't share. Keep it quiet. Nobody wants to know. No one should know. Um, so, how can we as women um, see the shift and start healing in a sense? How can we do that?
I think that that's a really good question. That's a loaded question, Karina.
I know. I feel like maybe this is like a therapy session. Maybe I should ask my therapist this.
It can
Um,
be.
yes.
Yeah, this shift, it's happening. Oh gosh, why? I think because there's just so many people talking about it. You know, it's just there's conversations that need to be had and that are happening within our communities that I think our generation, like maybe yours and I, are kind of starting to talk about things more and like to be more open with a lot of things, not only sexuality, but also um, like toxic masculinity and like just the patriarchy and feminism and all stuff that needs to be talked about. And I think that that's something that we're more open about. I mean, obviously, social media has a huge role in this. Like we're just connecting with other people that we would have never otherwise never connected with. Um, I my personal friends and my closest friends are my family, like are my cousins. You know, so I think that that's a huge thing also in our community and in our culture that um, we don't I guess we don't like spread out too much. We're very close knit with our families, so like that's all we see, you know. So I think that seeing um, other viewpoints and being connected more in social media and just like being more perceptive and more open to broader views is kind of what's helping that shift happen. Um, I don't think that I would have found a boudoir photographer if I hadn't like been outside of my comfort zone and like seen other people and met other people outside of my culture, if that makes sense, you know. Um, so yeah, I think it's just connecting with people that are in different backgrounds and have different views and just being more open about what we're willing to listen to and share with others. I think also sharing our experiences is super important, um, so that other people know that we're not alone. Like there's other people like us that are in our shoes. So yeah, that's
Yes.
my
I know. As soon as I asked that question, I'm just like, dang, this is deep.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And I would have to agree that it's easy for us to get in, like, to stay in our circles and then perpetuate those cycles because we don't know anything else, or we don't see anything else, or we don't have the support to do anything else. Um, and I always go back to social media. For me, like, I know that social media can be like a pro and a con. Like, it could be a real time suck, but like social media has broadened our communities, not necessarily personal communities, but like in a bigger sense of, like, we are in contact with people across the country that we can find similarities to, who are deciding to break barriers, deciding to break generational oppression. Um, and I feel like when we see that, like, it just takes like one quote shared on social media, and you're just like, oh, this makes so much sense. And then that gets shared again, and then people start thinking and start talking about it. Um, yeah, how do you think, this might be another tough question, but how do you think the, um, because I also see the, like, the modeling industry shifting, the music industry, like all of the major um, media companies, whether it's movies, film, music, like those are also shifting, and I feel like that also plays a part in it. Um, so, do you have any opinions on that, or like connections that you can make that have made it easier for you to talk about this stuff?
Um, I mean, honestly, in the bigger, like, in the broader spectrum, not so much. I'm really focused. I don't really work with models, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't hire models. I haven't had to as of late. The women that I work with and that I photograph are everyday women that are just letting me share their experiences and share their images. Um, but I think that as far as the modeling and the music industry goes, I I feel that this shift in terms of being more open about shaming, like body shaming, and seeing that body positivity just grow has definitely, I think, piqued a lot more people's interests in terms of just being who you are and being really comfortable in your skin. Um, so I think that there definitely needs to be a lot of work to be done in those industries. But my job as a boudoir photographer is to help the everyday women see themselves in the photos that I show, so that they know that anybody can do it. Anybody can start that journey of loving themselves. It just takes a little, you know, um, a little courage, and that's all it takes.
I do appreciate that you, um, like, your passion is to communicate and uplift, like you said, the everyday woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so important because, like you said, like we can see models, and we can see like that the representation is getting more diverse
Yeah,
in the media, but at the same time, like, we understand that those are models,
yeah,
and those are actors, actresses, and it's harder for us. We're like, go them, like, we will support you, But when the it shifted back to our personal mindset, that's where it can get like, oh, well, they can do it and they're
Yeah.
doing a great job, but
Yeah.
not me.
Right.
I can never like
The profession.
pose exactly. Like, and so I do appreciate that you're like that is who you are trying to market to and speak to, especially as a Latina, because I feel like they're like representation matters. We hear that all the time. Representation matters, but especially in this circle, like I
Mhm.
feel like you are probably the only Latina boudoir photographer that I know. And I feel like that is super important
Yeah.
because while I have friends that are super diverse and I am in circles that are um, of different ethnic backgrounds, it's different when you can be like that intimacy and trust and vulnerability is there on a different level when you can relate to someone because you know that they know your background.
Yeah.
And like you said, like the things that we were conditioned to believe.
Mhm.
Um, so why don't you walk us through what it's like to have a session with you?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you've probably encountered all of the self like doubt, negative self-talk that people have done.
Oh,
Um, so why don't you walk us through what it would be like to do a session?
yeah, absolutely. So the the whole experience starts with a phone call. I like to get people on the phone so that we can, first of all, know that I'm not a freak that's like, you know, behind the camera just trying to capture you in lingerie. So I think that there's a big trust factor that we have to set before we get started, you know? So it starts with that. And then all of our sessions include a pre session planning consultation. So I'm there every step of the way, from the planning of the concept to your lingerie. There's a whole prep guide, there's a lingerie guide, there's also a lingerie consultation. So if you need help and you're like, I don't know what I'm shopping for, then I'm there. We can jump on the phone, jump on a Zoom call. You can show me what you purchased. I can tell you, yeah, that's gonna work, or maybe not so much. You know that whole thing. I do have a client closet where you can borrow stuff from if you need to. So if you don't feel comfortable shopping, I can always bring stuff in that might work for you. Um, then we get started in the day of your session. We get started in hair and makeup. Professional hair and makeup artists are going to be there to just glam you up. Um, it's totally up to you if your everyday is just super like sporty or super natural and that's the way that you want to stay, then that's how we're going to do it, right? So um, my whole approach is that we're going to jazz you up, but enhance your beauty. We're not going to make you into somebody else, right? So and on the other hand, if this is something that you're doing for yourself and you want to go all out and you have never done glam and you just want to try it out, we can do that too. So the whole session is about you, what your comfortable level is, what you want to do, how you want to approach it, and then we go from there. Um, and then so once you're in hair and makeup, I'll start like going through your outfits. We'll chit chat. We'll start to break the ice. We'll pick stuff out, and then once we get into shooting, I'm the one that's going to walk you through all of the posing, um, facial expressions. Where do you place your hands? What do you do with your feet? Like I like literally pose you from your head to your toes. Um, and it makes for just a really like complete experience. You know what I mean? Um, I can be really awkward in front of the camera too. So if you're not telling me what to do, I'm like, wait, get away from me. What's going on? So, so yeah, so I know how it is, right? And so my job is like, okay, this is what you do. Like chin up, chin down. You know, point your toes. The biggest tip, number one tip when you're doing photos, point those toes. um, and then so from there, the session itself, it's like max like 1.5 hours of shooting time. Then you go out to lunch. While you're out on lunch, I retouch all of your photos. So you get to come back to the studio the same day and view your images. And then from there, we pick your favorites. Um, you know, pick all the beautiful images that we created, already retouched and already finalized. So that same day, you get to see the magic that we created. And yeah, and then you get to order your album or your folio box or your wall art. I'm all about putting pictures all up on the wall, so I'm like crazy about getting wall art. And yeah, that's the whole experience.
Wow, I did not realize it was like a whole day. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
can see your photos the same day. That's amazing.
yeah. So you get to play hooky or take a day off or like, and this is like a whole pampering day for yourself. Super fun. At the end of the day, you're all glammed up. So I usually recommend, like, either if you're keeping this a secret, like take your makeup off. If not, then go celebrate with your partner. Go celebrate with your girlfriends if you're doing this for yourself. You've already got the makeup on. Just make a whole day out of it. So yeah, it's a whole day experience, but it's super fun. You walk away feeling like a goddess. So yeah.
Do you usually do these sessions like it's just you and that person? Does anyone ever ask, like, hey, can my best friend come along and just cheer me
Yeah,
on?
so my policy on that is they can definitely bring a friend along to help calm nerves. They're there through hair and makeup. Um, and then during the shooting time, I find it more appropriate and more, it's kind of a distraction when there's somebody there watching you. Like, it's already awkward as it is if you're doing this in lingerie with the photographer. So it's kind of awkward if somebody's like also there watching. So they're definitely welcome to bring a friend with them if they like just need a little encouragement during the shooting part. I just ask them to like stay out of the shooting space. But also my policy is bring somebody that is going to be 100% like just cheerleader, like super positive. I don't want anybody to be like, I don't know about your hair and makeup, or like that's you gotta have somebody that's like 100% behind you in this and is going to be there to like uplift you. Otherwise, it like just ruins the whole day. So you gotta know those people. You know who those people are,
Yes,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Um,
Oh my
but yeah,
goodness, that
definitely bring a friend, and if you're feeling a little nervous. But that's why I like to do the whole like planning consultation and lingerie consultation and the phone calls and the Zoom chats, just so that we get to know each other. First of all, like before the photo shoot, so that it's like you're just visiting an old friend. So that's my goal at least.
I'm like so inspired. I did not, I feel like I've known about boudoir photography, but I didn't know that it could be like so, like a pampering day for
Oh yeah,
you. Like I feel like, I don't know, I've thought it's like you just go and get naked and then you leave and then you're like, I hope those photos turned out and you wait a week.
yeah.
Um, I love how you set that up.
Yeah, I used to do my reveals, a week, 2 weeks later after the session. I just find that the excitement kind of just wears down. You come in and you're like nervous again about seeing your photos, and so there's that whole deal. Like I like to do it the same day, so that like you're excited still about your session, and like you're in that mind frame that you're like, this is going to be great. And not only that, but I'm also showing you photos during the photo session. Like I'll show you the back of my camera. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is you. Like, and I'm excited, and I'm like really like it's a fun day. So it's definitely something you need to plan a whole day around for sure.
I think it would be perfect time to ask how you want to pass your knowledge on to your daughter now that you have a daughter. Like, how do you want her to see you building this business? Like, what do you want her to grow up thinking about her own sexuality, like about all of this whole topic?
Yeah. Um, I want my daughter to grow up and see her mom working hard but passionately about something that means something. And also to know that anything is possible, that anything that she desires is possible. She can make the life that she wants if you just put in a little passion and hard work into it. Um, I I also want her to see that you can do anything. Like if you just set your mind to it, and that having obviously having family and having a support system and having people in your corner is super important, but also that you can trust yourself. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I've been taking away from starting this is that you can trust yourself. Trust your intuition, trust your heart, trust your own thoughts. I think that's what I want her to see. I want her to see that a woman can do anything if she sets her mind to it and build beautiful things. So, I mean, and not only that, like she's seeing her mom like just be a confident person. Like, don't get me wrong, I have my doubts. I have my days when I'm like, oh, this isn't going the way that I want it to. Like, we all have those days, but like it's okay to have those days, but then you just also pick yourself up and, or get help that you need, or, just, it's, I don't know, it's okay to be vulnerable, but also it's okay to be powerful. I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, one of the hugest things that I thank my dad for, when I was growing up, is that he was never afraid of handing out really hard work to us. Like, you could see me on the roof of a house, like doing hard labor, and like I'm actually thankful for that because I'm not afraid to get in and get dirty and like try new things and like do hard things. You know what I mean? Like I think that's also super important. I wasn't like this delicate flower that he was protecting. I was this person that he could trust to get a job done. Also, she needs to learn that she can try hard things and it's okay to fail. You just try again or try something else. You know.
I want to talk about marketing and social media, um, because I know that I mean, marketing any business, it can be tricky, it can be tough. But marketing something that is so intimate, like I'm sure provides its own challenges, but I've seen you rocking it out, um, and building an amazing community. And so I want you to talk a little bit about your Facebook group and how you've built that.
Yeah, so I built the Facebook community to surround myself with women who can uplift and empower other women, and then also so that I can facilitate that as well. But just marketing it's by itself in Facebook and on Instagram is really challenging to say the least. There's all kinds of regulations and guidelines. Even though most of the work that I post is pretty tame, um, compared to what I see, other boudoir photographers post. It's definitely a challenge when um, there's these strict guidelines, right, that you have to adhere to. And it's challenging because like there's nothing wrong with nudity in the form of art, and so so I was able to build this community so that I could showcase my work, number one, but also that I can show so that I can show other women, hey, like you can do this too. Like you can step out of your comfort zone. You can do this. There's people in this community that are going to cheer you on and that are going to be super supportive of you sharing your images and that are going to be um, just really helpful. I also find that um, we love to encourage and like celebrate when I post like photos and like, hey, she's gorgeous. You get like another sense of like another boost of confidence, from seeing all of these positive comments about your photos. So it's definitely a really really cool community that I've built. I love that it's this like positive little corner of the internet where I can just hang out and have fun and play games and share crazy memes and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, and I think that as another layer, it's also I'm showing up in there as myself. I'm not just showing up as a business owner like here's my work. I'm showing up as somebody that can share funny things or share games. I'll go live in there. I'll share part of my world. I'll ask you about your world, and I feel like it's a good place to get to know each other and have a really good, supportive, loving community behind you. So,
Yes, I feel like being part of that Facebook group, like I feel like it's just a whole bunch of like it's like a big slumber party. Like we're
yeah,
just like hanging out, goofing off, and just being, like you said, it's a huge like bubble of positivity in this corner of the internet. And I know that I can always go and see encouraging posts, whether it's a quote or um, a funny, like predictive text
yeah,
post.
yeah.
Um, and sometimes, like being an introvert, I know I don't comment a lot, but I do feel like that sense of community, like just starting to see the people that do comment a lot and saying like, "Oh, I've seen that name," or "Oh," and then I like go see their Facebook page and then add them as friend, and like that's where the relationship continues. Um, and like you said, like I love that you show up as a person and
Yeah,
not just as I feel like that makes the whole boudoir experience like even more fulfilling because they think of you as their friends
yeah,
as opposed to a
yeah,
photographer taking pictures of them in lingerie. Um, so I have seen your Facebook page grow immensely over the past like 6 months,
yeah.
even. Like it has flourished, and the community there is amazing. I know at the end we'll share all the details on where people can find you. Um, but yeah, I give you all the hand raises for the Facebook community. And do you find that being in like a private Facebook group gives you a little bit more freedom as far as like Facebook and social media sharing is concerned?
Um, yes, yes and no. So I personally haven't had any issues with things being recorded or um, work being taken down, but like I myself am part of other like photographer communities where I always see friends posting, "Oh, my work got reported or taken down, or I'm banned from Facebook for 24 hours." thankfully, and fingers crossed, that hasn't happened to me. So I've definitely been lucky. I find that it is easier to post in a private group. One, because I feel like my clients feel more comfortable sharing their images in there. Um, where it's just a community of women who, that's exactly what it's a community, so um, that's that's a little easier in that aspect. I still am very careful of what I share, so I'm always sharing things that have not a high likelihood of getting flagged or reported or anything like that. And I think also one of the questions that I often get is, will you always share my images? And the answer is no. I will only share your images if you give me explicit written permission. And if you see your photos on social media and then you're like, I don't really like that, then I take them down. Like, I'm always for my clients' privacy. So you'll see that I'm sharing everything that I'm sharing. I have been given explicit permission for, so I'm not gonna just share your images just nilly willy. So that's also another added you know aspect to that. Like, I'm not gonna share just because I want to. It's because you've given me your permission and your images are safe. You know. Um, so yeah, it's a lot easier to share in a group where you know who's going to be seeing them, um, versus just seeing them anywhere else on social media. So on Instagram, I've gotten away with a lot more, I think, lately, but um, you never know. You just never know what's going to happen. So I'm just really careful with what I share.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if it will change or shift in the future,
Ooh.
but
I don't know. Honestly,
yeah.
it's from what I'm seeing, it's gotten a little bit more strict. Um, but it is what it is. I mean, we're sharing a platform. It's free. I totally get it. That's why you can see like a lot more work on either on my website, or you can see, you know, all that good stuff. You just never know. So social media just has a way of like um, censoring certain things. So just unfortunately, the nude female body is one of those things. That's just the way it is.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, I am still really proud of the community that you are building within the parameters and the guidelines that you have. It's really fun to be a part of. Um, all right, I want to shift and talk about like I know in my podcast I've said that I'm doing this to empower other people. I want to share real life stories from women that are not like necessarily celebrities, but women that I've known that I feel like are have powerful passion, like vision, powerful um, drive to build something, and I want that to be passed on to the next generation. Were there any past ideas, patterns, limiting beliefs that you had to work through? And I know we talked a little bit about that, but maybe you can go into more detail.
Yeah. So many. Just where do I even start? Um, so many limiting beliefs and so many ideas. Like number one, the one that we've already talked about, like the belief that like everything's to be kept private, like vulnerability, like even just like being really emotional. Like I've always been a super emotional person. Like I can cry at the drop of a hat. Like anything makes me super emotional and like I tear up. whether I'm happy or like something's really funny. I'm like all of a sudden just crying, or something sad. And oh, God, I've always been taught like no, you don't do that. You suppress those feelings. So um, that's one, oh my gosh, that's one of the biggest things. And like now I'm like being more like, you know what, this is me. This is just the way that I am. Yes, I'm gonna cry. It's fine. I own it. That's just how I am. And I think that with my work, that's just allowed me to like be more vulnerable and open up more and just be like, you know what? If I'm going to preach that you need to accept yourself and accept your your body or accept your features or accept you as a person, then I need to do the same. So that's something that I've been working on as well. Um, Let me tell you, like being a mom, I think that has also really opened up my eyes as well. Like if I'm talking to myself in a certain way, what's my daughter going to think of herself, or what's my daughter going to think of me? Like it's just we're breaking these patterns where if we want to break the pattern, we need to like start within ourselves and start to like really take that into consideration. I don't want my daughter growing up looking at herself in the mirror and be like, oh, I don't like this, or oh, I need to do this, or So I have to work really hard on that and like be really mindful of what I'm saying in front of her and like how I'm acting towards myself in front of her as well. Um, and you want it's fine. It's fine to love yourself. It's fine to like look at yourself and like, oh my gosh, I look really great today. Like check yourself out. Like I did my makeup for this and I'm like super proud of it because I need to show up, and like how I look. So I think that those little details are like really going to like make an impact. And like another thing is like, well, who are you doing your makeup for? Nobody, myself. I want to look great for myself. I want to feel good. If I put on a skirt or if I put on a tight pair of jeans or a low cut shirt and I really like how I look in that, it's for me and for me only. Like it's not for anybody else. It's just to feel good, you know. So those are some of the biggest limiting beliefs and just beliefs that we have like pounded into our heads growing up, you know. Um, and then not only that, and then business wise, like who would have thought that I could make a living and a good life out of photography? Like that's like, whew, man. I don't know if you got this too, but like being a photographer was like always a hobby. Like, oh, that's a fun hobby. Like, it must be so fun to like just have a really fun hobby. I'm like, it's not a hobby. It's a full time job. I put my heart and my soul into this, and I I love what I do, and it's how I make my living, and it's how I provide for my family. So it's not just it's not just a hobby. It's like this is real work. It's it's not just for fun. So yeah, and I can get into so many things about money mindset too, and like just being like, oh my goodness, we can go on forever. Um, but I think that the biggest takeaways that I've had from my business in particular have been around body image and vulnerability and just like not limiting ourselves to what other people think of us. It's just about like looking within first and then going from there.
I mean, these are all great points. Self development is an ongoing
Oh
thing.
yeah.
We had an anniversary party for our 10-year anniversary 2 years ago, and I wanted to just enjoy the time. And I was like, I want to wear a dress. I want to wear two dresses. I want to have an outfit change. And I'm not going to ask anybody's permission. I'm going to go shopping by myself. I'm going to purchase the dress that I feel amazing in. And I'm going to rock it. And if it's a little lower cut, you know what? People are going to have to deal with it because this is what makes me feel good. And I did. I wore those two dresses. I had a whole photo session with the whole family. Um, Michael was super supportive. I was like, should I do two dresses? He's like, look, this, go all out. If you want to do this, get hair and makeup, get your two dresses. I'll even get two different tie colors. And I'm just like, yes, let's do it. But that has been like a 10-year process of unlearning things because I also have a daughter and I don't want her to learn or feel the same things that I have felt in the past about myself. And so, like you said, if I want I want her to grow up empowered and proud of who she is, loving the way she looks, it starts with me. Like I have to be that person and show up and be confident in my everyday.
And can I add something to that too? As I think also as Latina moms, is we I don't know how if this is how you relate, but I grew up where um, moms take care of everything else before themselves. Oh man, I've learned that like that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. Not only as a Latina, but I think just moms in general, but especially as a Latina, like you have to take care of the house, you have to take care of the cooking, you have to take care of the kids. Like, um, what? Like, how can you put in all of this work and not give into yourself? Um, where are you pouring from? Like, how are you doing all this? Like, I think it's important to take care of ourselves too, and just like do things for our enjoyment and like do things that shoot, if it means outsourcing some work or if it means asking for help, like why is it so hard for us to ask for help? um, that's another thing that I've learned too, and that I've had to unlearn is that like, well, if you're not doing it all by yourself, then you're just not doing it right. Or if you're not, you're not a good mom. If you have to like get help, or if your house is messy, like, but why? Like, I would rather have a pile of dishes and spend time with my daughter than miss out on those, special moments. She's 2 now, and man, can I tell you, this time has flown by so quickly. Like, I can't believe how fast time has really gone, and she's just growing up so fast, and I don't want to miss it. I don't care if there's a pile of dishes, you know? It's about taking care of yourself and then just spending time on what's important to you. And that's why I also love my job, is because I am I am making the life that I want, and I'm making a life on purpose. I want to go into work and empower women, and then come back and have time for myself and time for my daughter and my family, and not have to worry about you know working on somebody else's timeline. It's about creating that balance and creating just a life that you want. Like, you can do that. You can create the life that you want. You just have to like chip away at those like negative thoughts in your head that have been like pounded in there for forever. So it's definitely work, but it can be done.
Exactly. I love everything that you just said. I feel like, man, we all need to hear everything that you just said about taking time for ourselves, about not forgetting that we are women and people too that also need that self care, that time poured back into us and who we are.
Yeah.
Mm, so good. I'm excited for people to listen to this and be inspired and renewed and think about themselves differently.
Yeah.
Um, what is that encouragement or advice that you would want to send out to the next generation? I know everything that you just said is like so good. Um, but in like a short bit, like what is that one piece that you think back and you're just like, I wish someone would have just been straightforward and told me this
Oh,
thing.
man. So many things. Everything that I just said, but then also just be true to yourself. Like, I think and it's so hard because sometimes we're trying to either fulfill somebody else's dream for us. I know especially with people who have immigrant parents who have come here to fulfill a dream, and then we're like, it's on us to like do better, or it's on us to XYZ, like get to the next thing, to really find what makes you happy, um, and to work towards that. Um, I don't know if I told you this, but I was actually in school for finance. I quit.
No, I didn't know that.
I quit. And I'm like, I don't have any, I don't find any passion in this. Like I don't find any like purpose to this other than like getting into the rat race and like, finding a corporate job and like what is the point? If that's what you want to do, then great. Go for that corporate job. If that gives you fulfillment, then great. That's more power to you. It's definitely something that you need to know that you will enjoy. So I think as artists, I mean, and even this, like as artists, we get like so much crap about like, well, that's not really a living. It's not really this. But it is. Like it really is. Like you can make it. You can make it what you want it to be. So, oh, all this to say, I guess just look within yourself and like find your calling, find um, the encouragement that you need to pursue the thing. And not only that, like even if it's just for 3 years, those are going to be the most wonderful 3 years of your life. And then if you have to move on to something else, then that's fine. Like why are we stressing about finding our life's work and our life's passion? If you want to try things, just try them out. What's the worst that can happen? You just really enjoyed yourself doing something. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be the biggest takeaway. Just try things out, see how it works out for you. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. There's going to be other things. That's my takeaway.
Exactly. I feel like in the 8 years, 8+ years that we've known each other, like I have done a lot of different things and have put my hand in different business ventures and like just tried it and it didn't if it didn't work, I'm like, okay, well, I'll shift and I'll pivot. Let's
Yeah,
do something else.
yeah.
Ah,
I
so
feel
good.
like also what this pandemic has taught us is like pivot. Like we have to like be able to just figure out another way to make things work, or figure out like if it's not working at all, just find something else. Um, there's always so much that you can do, so it's not the end of the world if it just doesn't work out. I feel like having fun is more important than and this is gonna come across like because I'm like a perfectionist and this is what's been holding me back for such a long time. But I'm finally getting it in my head like it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. Like just do it, you know? Just do it
Yeah.
and whatever comes is what it is. So yeah, and just have fun in the process. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I feel like people have been asking me, like, what should I do, like, to start this business? And I'm just like, just start. Just do
Hmm.
something. Just put it
Yeah,
out there.
exactly.
Um, this conversation has been so good, and I'm so glad that you um, were kind enough to share your story and share your vulnerability with me. Thank you. Why don't you, before we leave, tell everyone where the best place to connect with you and find you on social media is?
Well, on social media, I'm going to be the most active in the group. So it's going to be facebook.com/groups/Golden Mean Boudoir VIP. That's the best way to find me. And I think second to that would be on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Um, oh boy, do I. I don't enjoy being on social media so much, but I'm putting everything into the group, and I'm like, I gotta just make it really active and fun, and that's where you're gonna find me the most, to be honest. My website, yeah, goldenmeanboudoir.com. If you want to get in touch, that's the best way to get in touch with me is just send me a quick message through there, and I'm happy to jump on a phone call. That's like the first step is just let's chat, see what you're looking for, see what I offer, and get to know each other first, and that's how we do it. So send me a message there to chat about a boudoir session.
Yay. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This has been a great time, a great conversation. And I mean, we're rocking it out because we got the mom life going on. I don't know if people were able to hear my kids jumping and laughing in the background. Um, but this is to say, we can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Moms can own a business, and
Oh,
we got it. We got it.
yes, we do. I can't tell you how many times my daughter's been exactly that. Like while I'm on the phone with a client, I'm like, I'm sorry, but also I'm not sorry. I'm a mom. It's just, it is what it is. She's here. What do you want me to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um,
So, yeah,
well,
we can.
you're doing great. You're rocking
Yay.
the mom life and the entrepreneur life. Um, anyway, thanks again. Thanks so much. And um, if you haven't yet, go check out her Facebook group. Click to join, and it is truly a really good time in there. So, thank you so much, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you for having me. It was so good to chat. Always a nice time to chat with you and hang out.
For sure. Hopefully soon it will be in person. I know I need to go visit your studio, so maybe in a few weeks.
Yes, you do. Come by anytime. We got to get some coffee or something. Well,
For
yeah,
sure.
go soon.
We'll do it. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
We hit some pretty deep stuff during our episode, and some of that I didn't even know I needed. Especially now that I have kids, I'm very aware and very purposeful about the way I talk about myself, and always try to empower them to be confident and proud of who they are. I know we all struggle with our own inner critic, but when you have a community around you, lifting you up and pouring into you, it's much easier to start valuing yourself like you deserve. So if you're not yet, join Veronica's Facebook group. It's really a lot of fun, and we can all use some fun right now. All right. Thank you so much for listening. You can find all of her information on the website elevatinglacultura.com. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please share, take a screenshot to share on Instagram at elevatinglacultura, or send me a DM. You can also comment on our YouTube video if you're watching online. I always like to hear from people and how they resonated with the stories that I share. All right, so go on. Enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next week.
You want to say hi? Uh-huh. Okay, let's say hi.
Hi.
Her name's Rosie.
Oh, hi, Rosie. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
My
So
name's Karina.
say hi, Karina. Yes, my mom.
Mhm.